if you actually stick to what we go through, it could actually generate you too many leads. And then the next problem that we need to talk about is how to actually handle all those leads.
Actually, can I share something quick? You
Let's do it.
spoke at our event in Austin earlier this year, and you did this breakout session with a bunch of people in the room. And I remember, uh, like live in this little breakout session, you told people, "Here's what to post." And then one of the attendees came up to me saying, "I don't know what the hell's going on, but I have like 300 or 400 people that have just like asked me to work with me." Oh, look at that!
Well, I had to talk to my
Oh
team
my God,
about
that's so funny.
the problem.
Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen to what he said.
By the way, I had no idea you had that in the slides. That is so funny.
Okay, so I had to talk to my team about this new problem that we have right now because I'm getting too much lead while I'm here and I'm not able to attend the call. So yeah.
Whoops.
That's what I meant.
What? Yeah, so basically, this was then 4 days later, I actually got, you can see here, 468. So that was written while we were at the Archangel event in Austin. So here was the post template. Let's use it, right? We might as well use the exact same post template that we use with Manu to generate all those leads so that you can have the same results like what Manu got online versus, because you already missed the event, too late now. Better come to the next one.
Yeah.
But I'm bringing this one to you. So I'm going to go through this like one by one so that you also understand like the different triggers that are inside this post, because it's all well and good. It's all well and good seeing the post template, but if you don't understand the mechanics behind it, then it's not as effective. Like, it's so funny how often I see people just replicate my content, like literally word for word, except changing a couple of niche phrases out.
Right.
But the problem is then they're always going to be behind me because they're always relying on copying what I post, right? Whereas instead, if you understand like why this works, you can repeat it again and again for yourself consistently. So this is a post template designed specifically for lead gen. And let's just go through it step by step, okay? So do you, and then you call out a pain. So I'm going to pick on you, Josh. What's the number one pain that your trackers tell you all the time that they have when you're on sales calls with them?
I think you'd unmute yourself.
I don't hear you somehow.
It was blocked, but now I'm allowed to unmute. The power was granted. Honestly, probably the biggest pain point, especially right now, is I'm struggling to make money in this industry. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue without going bankrupt. Rates are low and I got to pay for my truck, my trailer, all this stuff. And also, I don't know what I don't know. There's so many options to choose from.
Okay, so are you worried your trucking business is going to go bankrupt? Question mark. That's the market trigger. So what does that mean? That means that you're essentially riding on the coattails of the direction that the market's already going. It's top of mind for them. So instead of you trying to fight against their desire, which is the fact that they're worried about going bankrupt, you're meeting them where they're at, and then you can pivot them into what they actually need to do in order to get the results that they need to get. Because, for example, a lot of people in your shoes might be saying things like, yeah, but like, even though they're worried about, going bankrupt, they need to do all this like complicated stuff. And I'm only going to speak about that complicated stuff in my marketing. But the problem with that is they can't even see the need for the complicated things because they're so focused on the current problem that's top of mind for them. That's why we keep the list of the problems that we hear on sales calls and bring that into our marketing. Okay. Next line is just, I'm giving away, and then insert the title for free today. So Josh, do you have like some type of freebie or lead magnet that you give away for them?
Honestly, right now, all of our content is free. We monetize on affiliate marketing if they connect with service providers. So we're giving away tons of information, video information, how to choose the right ELD, how to negotiate with brokers. I'm giving away information on like millions of, not millions, but we're doing a lot of that right now.
What's the most popular one?
Let's just choose ELDs for now. Every trucker needs one, and there's 1,000. And if you choose based on price alone, you may get burned with a really bad product that's going to ruin your career. So I'm giving away information. It's an electronic, it's a fancy GPS that truckers have to use. It's like a punch clock GPS. They're not allowed to drive without sleeping after a certain amount of time because they're 80,000-pound missiles. So they all have to have one in Canada and the United States. ELD, electronic logging device.
All right. Well, we learn something new every day. Okay. So I'm giving away the ultimate ELD breakdown for free today,
Mm.
Love that.
right? Because you're breaking down
Great.
which one's the best, or yeah. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint to decide which ELD will be the most profitable for your trucking business. Want access 100% free? Reply ELD and I'll DM you the link.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And who is
Is
most
it-
likely to ask for an ELD guide? Right? It's like,
Small trucking companies. So there's like 3 million in the States, probably 300,000 truckers in Canada. And most of them have 1 to 6 trucks. So there's some huge fleets, but most of these are just small business owners
Right.
that know how to drive, but don't necessarily know how to run a business or choose amount between insurance, ELDs. There's just so much that's
but just
uncertain.
for the benefit of everyone watching,
Small truckers.
when
Small
you
truckers.
come up with something that you're gifting people, like the best way to do it is when someone's raising their hand to say, I want that thing, they're self-identifying as someone that would be awesome for you to work with. Right. So you're not getting dentists asking for an ELD guide. You're not getting plumbers. You're getting the exact right people raising their hand. And I love,
But that's also, sorry, Gio, go ahead.
I love being able to have that kind of alignment in the messaging that's so simple.
That's also why so many people fail massively on social media. It's because their messaging is just way too broad. And personally, I made this mistake myself for my first few years. I just didn't get it. It just didn't make sense to me. That's why I'm trying to break it down with the triggers so that people understand specifically how to actually craft messaging that gets conversions. But the next line, this is the novelty trigger. So just for context, like after making more than 60,000 posts on social media for myself and for our clients, hundreds of thousands more, what we did is we did a massive data analysis of like the best performing content, A, to get more reach and followers, B, to get more leads, and then C, to get more clients directly. And we essentially put it all into ChatGPT and figured out compared to these different triggers that we're aware of already, like what triggers are embedded in these content pieces. So we came up with 17 psychological triggers that must be embedded in your content in order for it to actually work successfully, right? I didn't even know that I was doing this up until doing the analysis. But I just figured out that there were these certain things that I would say that it would work for me and my clients. And so just FYI, that's when I say trigger, that's what that means. So the first one that's really important is market trigger. Second one, novelty trigger. Because when you kind of just put the recency in place and it seems new and it seems relevant right now, people are much more likely to take action. Very interesting. Next one is a blueprint to et cetera, what's the outcome? So brainwave inception. So basically, what do they want? Like, what are they trying to achieve? That's why when we mentioned about that trucking, I forgot the acronym already, E something something, we talk about making it a more profitable trucking business, because that's what's top of mind for them, right? They need to make money. Want access 100% free, and then reply with a word and I'll DM you the link, right? That's the intent trigger, because obviously then they're coming in with intent. They want that thing. That's basically what Gio just spoke about just then. Okay. So like if we run the numbers, I'm just taking from Manu's post. If we actually just like run the numbers conservatively, like with one post that gets 468 leads, if we run these numbers, right, conservatively, let's just say that it only converts 12% into discovery calls. That'll be 56 discovery calls. From there, let's say 50% from a discovery call to a qualified sales calls. Those are the rough numbers that we see across various different industries and niches. 28 sales calls. Okay, you get some no-shows, etc. So 75% of those get taken. 21 sales calls taken, qualified. Remember, these are qualified sales calls, not just random sales calls. These are highly qualified leads because they've been through a discovery. And then from there, let's say you close 30%, that's 6 new clients. Just from one post.
Can you keep this up for a second?
Yeah.
For anyone who may not know this language, because I like to make sure everyone's covered, what is a discovery call?
Yeah, it's basically a 15-minute call where you're qualifying them. So we use the perfect framework to qualify, which stands for what's their problem? That's P. So PERFECT, right? It's just an acronym. It's easy to remember. P stands for problem. What's the problem they have? And obviously, is it something that you can help with? If they have a problem and it's that they can't get their teeth to stop hurting and you help truckers, obviously you're not going to continue the conversation, right? It's just going to be a total waste of time. So E is about everybody involved. So like with the trucking example, do they have a business partner? You need to find that out, because if they do, and if you get them on the sales call, then guess what they're going to say? Cool, let me run it by my business partner. Even when they tell you that they have decision-making authority, in fact, especially when they tell you, yeah, I've got a business partner, but I have decision-making authority. If you go ahead with the sales call, I'm telling you right now, you're going to get the partner objection every single time, every time. So everyone involved. So PER, R is results. How do they define results? Okay, so you want to know what outcome essentially they're looking to get to. How will they know that your interaction together has been successful? F is fit. So like, are they actually an ideal client for your thing that you're selling? The other E is evidence. So like, what evidence have they seen that they know that you're good at what you do and that you can actually get them the result? And then T is the time. So like, how soon do they want to get the solution and they're ready to get started? Because if they're telling you on that discovery call, yeah, like it all sounds good. Like I saw your webinar and it looks amazing, but like I'm just about to go traveling for 3 months. You can't just be like, okay, sure, no problem, and pass them through onto a sales call. But you also can't just immediately disqualify them and say, oh, well, I guess we better wait until 3 months. You would challenge and push back, and you'd say, okay, so are you like not planning to work on this while you're traveling? And then depending on their answer, you either pass them through onto a sales call or not. Gio, did that answer your question?
It did. And what does the C stand for?
Oh, sorry, did I miss that one? My bad. Basically commitment. So you want to know what are they already doing to solve the problem? Because some people are going to start telling you, yeah, like I've already got this, consultant or this agency. And then you want to find out, well, if you're already like working with that, like what's not good enough about it? Like, why are you looking elsewhere? And simultaneously, if they're not doing anything about it, like if they, need this trucking solution, but like they're bankrupt, they're going bankrupt right now, but they're not already trying to do anything to fix it, oftentimes they're not a very good client for you. You want to find someone who has that sweet spot, who's already actively looking for a solution, but who also knows that whatever they're doing right now isn't good enough and they need to go to you instead.
Brilliant. So the discovery call is to make sure they're a right fit, or you're a right fit for each other. And if you are, then you book something that's longer to go deep into what their issues are and how you can help them, and if you can help them, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
love
exactly.
it.
Basically just qualifying. You're qualifying them. So yeah, like let's just say you collect on average $2,000 per call, that's 12K. And that would just be from one organic post with 0 ad spend, right? This was kind of crazy, the results. But then he also sent me this message on Instagram saying that for Manu, on the back end of this, what does it say here? Okay, 160K in net profit, 200K in sales, right? So he came to Gio's event and look what happened. Boom, boom. All right, cool. So anyway, here's some intro stuff. Like basically I've generated more than 1,600 high ticket clients organically on social media for my own business. And I won't bore you with these details, right? So I've worked with some people like Ali Abdal, Nathan Chan, got them some cool results, and spoken alongside of Gary Vee, done interviews with people like Grant Cardone, love them or hate them. It is what it is. So with that being said, Gio, you mentioned this earlier, what we're doing for anybody who's here or watching this on the replay as somebody from Archangel, if you want a social media audit, you can send a message to my Instagram saying, audit my socials. Just put it all in one word. It's at Lauren Tickner. That's my Instagram. And we haven't even got into the training. Gio, this happened last time when we did this. We haven't even got into the 5 things yet. So yeah, my Instagram is, I'll just put a link to it as well in the chat for anyone that's here. It's just Instagram Lauren Tickner. And then if you DM me saying audit my socials, boom, there you go. So yeah, cool. All right, so essentially now we'll go through the 5 social media swaps to drive more profit and also allow you to talk about the things that you love in your business so that you can actually start generating revenue and more revenue from essentially the content that you're sharing already. Like, I think that's pretty key to what we'll speak about here, because if you're already sharing content and it's not getting you as many leads and clients as you want, then clearly just some tweaks need to be made because the effort's already going into it, right? But the results aren't there. So that's what we want to go through, okay? And just to make sure that we're on the same page, there's a few problems that we're going to be solving for. And I've been doing this now for a decade, and I've seen some really big shifts happening in the market at the moment. So some of the things that I'm hearing oftentimes from people who we're talking about potentially working together. So things such as, well, just get me on the phone with like the right person and I'm good. Like it will all be good, but I just can't get the right people on the phone. Or people are wanting to pick my brain, but they just don't buy, they don't want to pay. Or the algorithm hates me. And like as a result of a lot of this stuff, what I'm seeing consistently is people spending a lot of time creating content, but then it not resulting in leads that actually buy. So this often shows up as leads opting into freebies, but then ghosting you, or they consume the free thing and waste your time. Or when they do get to the point of speaking about working together, maybe this is familiar. So this was hitting a little close to home for me, if I think a few years back. You would get on a sales call with someone that seems perfect. You get to the end, they tell you that they need to think about it, or they tell you they need to speak to somebody else. And then they just never get back on a call with you. Potentially you never hear from them again. Josh is like moving his hands around. I guess maybe that. And then this causes, the unstable revenue, because sometimes you get posts that pop off and sometimes like it just doesn't seem to get any reach or eyeballs at all. And like what I've been seeing a lot lately is because this isn't consistent and the lead flow is unpredictable, then people are getting tempted to make bespoke offers just to get more clients and cash flow through the door. Then meaning that as the business owner, people are getting stuck delivering more work than they can possibly keep up with. And it's delivering something that you wish that you weren't. Okay. Now, all of this is happening because right now the ads are really expensive. Algorithms do keep changing, meaning that business feels slow. There's competition. Prospects are more skeptical. There's way more people in the market than there used to be. And actually, I'll show you another example. Sean was also at the table, Geo, so I bring this up. So basically Sean's content before, through some other like lessons that he'd done, trying to figure out like how to make good content. You can see here on the left side, 4 comments, 0 buyers. On the right side, 10 comments, 0 buyers. Okay. So this was from like social media educational content that he had been learning from to get more results, right? Check this out. Okay. This one's pretty cool. At that table, told him what to post. Check this out. 176 leads in 3 hours. It says 359 because he's got like a response on there. So he's replying to those comments. So it's like, half of what it actually says. But then look, 1 week later, 913 comments. And that means there's obviously 450 leads, essentially, from the swaps that we're talking about. So I'm going to get into the swaps, but like, I just want to show you how key this is. Look, 4 comments, 10 comments, 913 comments.
I have a feeling too, there's going to be someone watching this thinking, yeah, but I don't have 10 million followers.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. I mean, we work with tons of people that have, I even had this kind of surprised me. Even, I had this one client, he had 300 followers 6 weeks ago. Now he has 56,000. His name's Preston Lee on Instagram. His Instagram is like the 30 rule or something. He helps restaurants scale up and fix their profits and stuff. So I just share that just because like, you don't need to have a big following today. In a few weeks time, you could have a big following, but you don't even really need the really big following. So how can we literally get results that are, 100 times better with just one post than what is previously being done? Well, I want to ask you this. What's the last big investment that you made? Like, or any high ticket offer that you've bought? So just like think about it for a moment, picture it in your mind. I don't need to know what it was. I just want you to think about it, okay? So You can correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm not a gambling person, just so you know, but I would probably place a bet that you didn't just see an ad or a random piece of social media content, then watch like a 8-minute video, book a call, and then pay in full. Like, if I'm wrong, please tell me. Like, please tell me if I'm wrong. I've just never seen anyone to do that. Now, instead, it's more like, you see an ad or an organic post, and maybe you click it and it takes you to like a video on a page, right? And at the same time, probably you grab your phone or open another tab and Google that person's name, and then you land somehow on like maybe their LinkedIn or their Facebook or their Instagram, TikTok maybe, watch some of their content, maybe even DM them, opt into some of their freebies before you buy. Am I wrong? Can anyone prove me wrong? Like, I really want to be proven wrong. Let's see. I don't see any so far. Right. Now, all of this can actually be working in your favor or working against your favor. Because if when they're landing on your social media accounts, it doesn't look good, then guess what's going to happen? This person's a scammer. Who's this random person? Why are they running ads talking about this topic when clearly they don't know what they're talking about? What we need to do instead, and what you need to understand, is organic content engineering. What that means is we quite literally engineer your organic content so that it creates buyers and people that trust you, so that when new people are finding you for the first time, or when somebody has the problem that you can solve, as soon as they land on your page, they start consuming some of your content, and it moves them closer to buying from you rather than moving further away from buying from you. And if you think about it logically, a lot of people are spending time, refining skills later down the funnel, sales, following up with leads, automations on the back end, etc. But really, I mean, there's going to be significantly more people that see your organic content than anything else. And that's how people are judging you. Whether it's true or not, they are judging you based upon what they see on your social media platforms. So it makes sense to engineer it right and recreate a perfect buying journey so that when people do find you, they like what you're about, they're more likely to buy. Okay. So with that being said, I just need to jump to the next slide. It's gone a little bit weird on my system here. So, actually, I'll do a quick recap because Gio, that training that I did for you guys before, I don't want to go into like the full details of that. Maybe we can send it out as you send this one to everybody as the replay, because I would literally be here for like another additional hour if I were to go in the details of that. That's why we did another session on it. So I'll just give a really brief rundown, like, so that you guys understand. So when it comes down to thinking through social media, every time you make a post, just think of one person on the end of the line. One person. Just imagine that person in your mind and speak to them personally, rather than speaking to like, hey guys, or to many different types of people. Because if you can help a lot of different people, you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that. So just speak to one person, okay? Because in the social media system that I speak about in the other training with Gio, there are 3 styles of posts inside of that system. And one of the posts is where you speak to strangers that don't know who you are. The other post is to your existing audience who knows who you are. And the final post is where you speak to those who are already ready to buy. And what happens is when you have different content for each of those 3 groups on your profile, as soon as people start landing on your profiles, they scroll through everything that you're doing, and one of those pieces of content will resonate with them, depending upon their stage of awareness with you, essentially. But yeah, pretty much we went through that on the last training, but I just give a quick recap just so that when I start speaking about like the different content styles, it isn't confusing. So as I said, this comes from analyzing more than 60,000 pieces of content of my own, hundreds of thousands more from our clients. And the goal was to figure out what is getting reach, what's getting leads, what's getting clients, and then what flops. Because if there's 3 groups, we need to understand the different swaps to make for each of the different types of content. Okay. So yeah, take some notes. And I think this will also help you probably understand why what you're posting right now isn't working as well as you have wanted it to. Okay. All right, cool. So Gio, did we have any questions so far? I know I just kind of blitzed through that one, but
Let's jump in.
all right, cool. Let's do it. Okay, guys. So the first swap is curious intrigue. So I'm going to show you an example. So this post here, I'll break it down for you, but I could have said something like, I found, well, I could have just said, who wants my social media training to get 8 times more sales calls? I could have said that, right? But there's no curiosity around that. Like, it's not very intriguing. It doesn't sound very special. But I see people, like, I saw someone the other day post on social media, send me a DM to book a sales call.
Yeah.
You know? So the thing is, my question to everybody here would be, if you were to audit your own socials, would you be curious yourself to either consume that content, to opt into that freebie, or to take the next step to speak about working together? Just be really honest with yourself. Because if your content doesn't have an element of curious intrigue around it, then I'm telling you right now, you're missing out on a significant amount of engagement. So who's already posting on social media? I'm going to just pick on somebody. All right. I'm picking on,
I would
picking, yeah. Gio, do you want to pick someone?
I was gonna say Louisa.
All right.
If
I'm
Louisa
going to pick on Tris. I already opened her Instagram. I'll pick on her next. What's Louisa's one?
Louisa, can you unmute and come on?
I can't really come on right now. I'm in the car, but I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm picking Tris. All right. So like if you go on your socials right now, for example, this post here, a little update. Okay. I haven't read the post yet, but I would be leading this piece of content. Okay, I'm just going to quickly look. Had a light bulb moment. Da, da, da. Imagine a safe haven where you can find solace, guidance, unwavering support, etc., etc. So this is a bottom of the funnel post designed to generate clients immediately. So if we're starting with something like a little update, the ones that want to buy right now are probably going to scroll right past that because they don't necessarily want the update. They want to know how you can help them and how they can pay you money. So if we think about the front of this post, I would probably just ask a question, which is like, are you looking to, and then whatever the outcome is that they want, or are you struggling with whatever the pain is that they want? And then it's like, I found a new way to, I'm just having to read it to understand what it is. To step into feminine energy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it would be something like, if we want to mold this post, after working with however many women you've worked with, we found essentially what you know, however many it is, 5 feminine energetic shifts required in order to step into your true aligned higher self. Interested in joining the membership to do exactly that? Message me info and let's chat to see if it's a fit, right? So basically we want to get people asking themselves, what are these things? What is this thing that this person has that I don't have right now? That's really what we're trying to get at here. Because most people, what they do with their content is share pretty straightforward info, hoping that the information on its own is interesting enough, right? But most of the time it's not. People have such short attention spans nowadays. So instead, what we need to do, because look, the problem with that approach is that it doesn't stand out in such a crowded social media landscape. So the information told on its own, it can often be overlooked, which ultimately is going to mean, you know, your content doesn't reach as many people as it could or get as many leads as it could. And just generally there's lower engagement. So instead, essentially, there are a couple of really key things in order to use curious intrigue and just swap what you're already posting to add it, which would be number one, ask thought-provoking questions. Number two, surprising facts. And the third one is really an element of mystery around the content. Gio, you're very good at this with your events, I think.
Yeah, when we design an event, I actually storyboard it as if I'm producing a film, like a Hollywood blockbuster. Because if you watch like any great fiction novel or any great movie, it creates tension. You have to create tension and release the tension, create tension, release the tension. And a lot of that is creating open loops and hooks, meaning something that makes the viewer or the reader so deeply interested in closing the loop and finding the answer to the question and in closing that curiosity. And it's storytelling. It's incredible storytelling. So I think when you understand even the basic principles of all this and you use it in any messaging that you're doing, it creates way more engagement.
Totally. Because people have a need.
Yeah, like even on Netflix, if you're watching anything episodic, like any show that has episodes, the best ones at the end of the episode, you get like so frustrated because like, oh, I need to watch the next one right now because they know how to use these triggers. They use open loops and hooks to end an episode on a cliffhanger or on a hook like this or on something that's super curious where you need to close the loop by watching the next episode.
And it has to be targeted specifically to the most ideal client, because the more specific you can get to the majority of your ideal clients, then you pique curiosity from the right people, because you could easily pique curiosity from the wrong people by doing many things that I will not say out loud, but you know, that's not going to bring in the right audience for you. You know what I mean? So for me specifically, like, we don't typically work with people that are not already sharing content. Also, people that are not taking sales calls, right? Again, this is for us like the 80-20, right? 80% of our best clients, they are taking sales calls. They are already sharing content. So I call those things out in the post so that the curiosity is going to come from the right people. And I would encourage you to do the same thing.
Could I bug you to pick on Stacy?
Yeah, let's do it. What's Stacy's?
Stacy, I just saw that you're here. And if you don't mind, I think Stacy _ Lynn.
Stacy.
That's me. You know, to be honest, Lauren, I haven't, my posts are very, very infrequent, because I'm still juggling with my daytime job, which is being a lawyer, and moving into the mentoring of the young women in law. So I'm starting to post like a little bit more on LinkedIn. So I'm really at that stage where I'm just getting started and not really understanding how to get started. So I'm finding what you're telling me really interesting, because it's going to actually set me on the right track from the get-go.
That's why I asked for you, Stacy, because I know that there are a lot of people in your shoes, even me, like where it's like there's almost like this weird shame around social media, or like I don't know what to post. I'm not doing enough, or guilt or some weird feeling. And I want all of us to get over that and just realize there are people out there who need us and they want to hear from us.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
let's get over that stuff and start doing the right thing here and helping a lot more people.
Yeah. So like for me, when I'm listening to what you're saying, you know, in terms of thought-provoking questions, like it's like, you know, are you struggling with, you know, there's anxiety, there's burnout. Are you struggling with, you know, just dealing with the senior male lawyers in the office who are making you feel like you're a moron? Sorry,
Mhm.
guys, but that's unfortunately
That's your market. That's who you help.
that's my
Yeah.
market, right? Like
That's
that's
like
and to be
how
able to come out and sorry, to be able to come
No,
out and say that so bluntly is
well,
I
that's
feel
what
like
they,
I'm
that's what they're
treading.
gonna pay. That's what they're gonna pay attention to. How often have you felt your ideas have been shoved down, and only the ideas of the senior men in the firm are actually paid
Ah,
attention?
yeah. Okay.
It's like, how does it make you feel? Like, how many times today have you felt like nobody cares about the inputs that you can make? You know, or like you can even
Okay.
create like emotional storytelling around the ideas that are ultimately going through their mind. Like if you check my Facebook and all my platforms, I did one yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just read the beginning of it just so that you can see this, because it really did create a lot of curious intrigue. So it started with it's 8 p.m. in Dubai, swallowing my tears, lying on the floor, alone in my apartment, hopeless and defeated. Right? People are like, what's wrong with her?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I get to the end, and basically the moral of the story is like, I've literally thought about quitting my business like hundreds of times. It's very normal as a business owner to do that. It's like so normal, because what I noticed lately is we were having loads of sales calls with people who are so hopeless and defeated right now that they just don't feel like they should even keep going on with their business. They're thinking about going back and getting a job. And that's really, really interesting, because we haven't heard that type of thing from people before. So because I'm like getting information from the sales calls that we have, I then tie that back into my content. And like, this is facts. This is like very true
Okay.
stories for me. So you want to bring that in, because then, you know, that hooks people in the beginning. They get curious. Whereas I could have just said in the beginning, I've thought about quitting my business so many times, but don't worry, guys, it's all going to be okay. Like, it's so normal to think that everything's going to be good in the end. Like, you're not alone. Like, every business owner thinks that. I could have made that as my content. Same message,
Mm-hmm.
exact same message, just told in a different way.
Okay. Yesterday I was talking to one of our so in Canada or in Ontario we have what calls articling students. So you kind of do a co-op position before you actually become a lawyer. And what she said to me, she said was, you know, it feels like I'm on a 10-month job interview.
Yeah, that's so good.
Because there's just so much stress and pressure right from the outset to you're competing against the other articling students. So you feel that you have to always be on, you have to always be perfect, you have to always, you know, be ready to jump.
Can I share something, Stacey? And well,
Yep.
for everybody here and everyone watching, something I discovered on my own journey was that some of the best content you could ever share is things that were said to you in conversations, meaning either with a client or with someone who could be a client, where it's either a frustration or how they're describing their pain. And that's what Lauren was talking about earlier. It could also be how they've been transformed. Right. So even Lauren showing the video of Manu and like it creates alignment and resonance with other people that are just like them. And that people want to know that you can help them and that you've helped other people like them. And if you're sharing language that's coming from conversations you've already had, and this is for all of you, just like, and Lauren does this so well, where Lauren, you're journaling, like you're actually taking notes of what people say, right?
Oh, constantly.
Oh, I love that.
I'll watch this replay back, and exactly what you just said about like it feels so overwhelming and like you don't. It's great content. Everything's content ideas. Like 100% is content ideas, but you have to know how to slot it in which style of content. Because, for example, I know you're new to this and you haven't yet had clients, right? As I think from what you said, but I never value words from someone that hasn't paid me as much as somebody who's paid me. So the people who have actually given you money, their words are better to go in the bottom of the funnel style of content when you're actually trying to drive clients, which I speak about in the other session that I don't want to get in this tangent because I'm also very conscious of the time already. So with that being said,
thank you.
I'm going to move on now. Yeah, but that was really great. So
Thanks,
next one is next swap is authority. Gio, you started talking about it there, so I thought it was a good time to move on, because people tend to follow and like obey people who are experts and authority figures. So without doing social media, then there isn't an opportunity online for people to see you as an authority outside of like, let's say you going on podcasts and getting features in other platforms, but you don't own that audience. Whereas instead, what is super important to do is positioning yourself as the authority figure. And this is particularly important in the top of the funnel content, aka content to grow your audience and reach strangers. This is also going to be the type of content where if you go viral, you want to have authority in that content, because if you just go viral for no reason, it's going to do nothing for you. Let me give you an example. This has happened to me a couple times where I just randomly say some stuff and I post it just because I, sometimes just do that for fun and it's outside of my system. I made this one where I was like, there are loads of people in Dubai that make 10 million a year. 10 million a year isn't a lot of money in Dubai. It makes you really increase your money mindset. Like I was saying all this stuff, and it wasn't a bad piece of content. It was actually quite a good lesson in the end about like getting around people who are way more ahead of you in order to level up the way of your thinking. But it reached all the wrong people, because I got tons of comments from people basically saying, oh, well, you're just like trying to find a rich man, all like this, which obviously wasn't my intention, but that's what happened, right? Now, if instead I had framed myself as in like, I am a business owner, and as a business owner, it's so important for me to constantly level up my money mindset because I'm right now trying to scale to like this new revenue level that I've never cracked before, then I would have been seen as an authority versus being seen as, I don't know, some gold digger or something, right? So the problem is that like a lot of people on social media, when they're trying to be seen as an authority, they're just sharing more value and more information, assuming that the more value that they share, the more credible they're going to appear. Now, that's actually not the case, because when you share value, people don't yet know why they should listen to you. So if you're sharing content on social media as though people know who you are already, and they've obviously got all the background about, your decades in the law firm and all the cases that you've won and all this stuff, people don't know that about you yet, if they're finding you for the first time. So in that content where we're trying to reach more strangers and grow our audience, it's absolutely fundamental to include authority, because most people in the world, they've never seen you before. So when you do pop into their feed, they're going to ask themselves, who is this person and why should I listen to them? So sharing valuable information isn't enough to establish authority if your audience isn't recognizing your expertise and your credentials. Simultaneously, showing credentials like letters after your name, that often fails to resonate because people care more about the tangible results and the real world transformation. So I don't know if anybody here is taking long form content, maybe where you've done like an interview or a longer video, and then you take out little snippets of that and you put those short form videos on social media. Yeah, some people are saying that they're doing that. So the reason why those short form pieces don't consistently grow your audience is because that content lacks the authority trigger. It doesn't have context. So when people see it for the first time and you're talking at them, telling them you need to do this, this, and this, when they see the short form content, they're in a short form mindset, and they're not thinking to go and stalk your profile and your page. They're just thinking like, why is this guy telling me what to do? How do I know he's legit? Why should I trust what he's saying? So instead, you must embed authority into that content. So from the get-go, they know why to listen to you. So for example, Josh, you spoke earlier about the trucking, right? So like, could you be standing in front of a fleet of trucks? Could you be, in the beginning of that piece of content, instead of saying you need this specific, I can't remember that word, but that acronym, but you need this specific thing for your truck so that blah, blah, instead of you telling them, just start the content with an authority trigger, which would be something along the lines of like, I've helped 572 trucking businesses not go bankrupt. And one of the key things successful trucking companies need in order to make more profit is this thing, right? So you're basically shifting your messaging so that people understand why they should listen to you. Which then ultimately means that people will engage with your content, they'll trust your advice, and they'll know why to listen to you. And then when strangers are finding you, let's say you're running ads, right? And they land on your profile, instead of you just talking at them all the time, telling them, you need to do this, you need to do that. Instead of that, then they find this content where you're saying the good stuff that you've done or showing the evidence and the authority, then they buy in more to the rest of your messaging. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? I can see the chat popping off. Exactly, Gio. I've had 250,000 people attend my events. 100%. Oh, actually, I've got an example. So this is somebody that I work with, Mike. So like his following was 14,000 on Instagram, pretty decent. But his content was just like constantly getting like 1 to 5 posts, and most of the people that were commenting were his competitors and not leads. So he's like a mindset coach for sports people, so all these people here are his competitors, right? But check this out. Although he was trying to go viral, and again copying recommended social media strategies that he'd learned on courses and stuff that he'd done, he was sometimes getting crazy amounts of views, like 350,000, 276,000, even 7,000 is solid. But his revenue was like up, down, up, down, up, down, averaging. Anyways, that's private information for him. He did say it in a case study that I filmed with him, but you know, sometimes very low, sometimes decently high. But check this out. Now, remember, he's a sports performance coach. Conor McGregor is engaging with his content now. Talk about like targeting the best possible clients. That's because he's now added authority into his content. He was already posting, but he just added authority in. Boom. Now he's getting engagement from quite potentially like the best possible client. Like if he landed him as a client, crazy days.
How do
Crazy
you
days.
how do you use authority if you're breaking into a new industry or doing something different or new?
It's your own personal story. What have you overcome? And put yourself in their shoes. I mean, that's what I did for the first probably like 3 or 4 years, because my first business was a fitness business. And I just showed like my transformation photos and the struggles that I'd been through, etc.
Yeah, I love that. We all have a story.
100%. The most powerful thing. Okay, so the next one is Brainwave Inception. So this is, we touched on this earlier, but it's where you meet them where they're at. So for example, you speak to the problems, the frustrations, the feelings that are going on for them inside of their head, and they feel like you're in their head. So we just mentioned, like, what if you haven't had all this experience, you don't have all this authority, etc. Well, if you can explain your story in a way whereby they feel like they are you, then they're going to pay attention to what you're talking about. The post that I briefly read out earlier, where I was saying about like it's 8 p.m. in Dubai and all this stuff, like that one was Brainwave Inception. Now, the cool thing about this one is they then think that you're kind of psychic, and then as they start to consume the rest of your content, because you've already been able to articulate their problems better than they can, they then think, well, clearly they know how to help me. So the key thing though is not to make assumptions about what they're thinking. Instead, to take it, you know, from what they've actually told you. And then you're able to quite literally read back more or less what they've said to you. They're like, oh my gosh, I've never been able to put it like that. Because then, you know, of course, the trust is high. And it's a lot easier to then get them to take the actions that you want them to take. Whether that's opting into a freebie, following you, getting the next steps about an offer that you have. Okay.
I started Archangel 10 years ago in 2014. And the year before that, for most of 2013, all I did was have conversations to ask people where they're at, what help they need, where they're going, what have they tried. And maybe like 200 conversations. And that actually helped me launch the business because I had all that intel and all the language that they were using of how they described their own story. And then I looked for the patterns of the most important things. And that helped me propel and launch in 2014. So anyone watching this thinking, what if I'm not, like, I know there's going to be a lot of what ifs. There's always that. The most important thing is conversations and keeping track of the patterns within them. Like, are there words that people are saying over and over again? Because, and again, that always leads back to the content that you can create too. Like, I'll show, as a specific example, one phrase that kept coming up over the past 10 years, which I would have never predicted, was "I'm tired of being a best kept secret." Which was like, huh. So people with deep expertise in a certain domain, and they've helped a lot of people, but they probably feel like no one knows who I am. And for them, I just say call Lauren, because that's the solution there. So keep going.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting because like one of the first things that we always do if someone's trying to like launch an offer from scratch is get on as many sales calls as possible, and ideally 50 within 60 days. So for a lot of people that sounds crazy, but the reason being is because, yeah, you can call it a sales call, right? I call it a sales call just because it's just an easy way of thinking about it. But if you frame it in your head like a market research call, because like you can spend all that time, let's say you do 50, okay? 50 hours, okay. You could spend 50 hours researching on Google, ChatGPT, social media, Facebook groups, all the stuff that these forums, I sound old now. I sound dated, not forums, all these courses tell you to do forums and everything. But here's the thing. Why not just spend that time on the calls? Calls, not calls. Sorry, guys. Don't want to confuse you with my accent. But here's the thing. Like, if you then just get on those meetings with people instead, those hours, guess what? You're going to have a never-ending list of not only how to craft your offer, but also the social media posts and the information to put into templates. Makes it so easy. An example of this actually, which is a more tangible example that it can be done very easily, is lifestyle imagery.
Before
So there should be,
I just want to say for anyone who has to drop off now, we're going to keep going and record it. So we'll send out the replay tomorrow to you. So if you can't stay, and I just want to share, Lauren is speaking at Archangel Summit next month in Toronto. So if you're coming, I know a bunch of you are already coming, and if you're not, make sure you get a freaking ticket, because proximity is everything in this world, and you need to be around a room full of incredible humans. So thanks, Lauren. Keep going.
Totally. So just an example of what we're talking about here with the brainwave inception. So you can obviously do it through storytelling and also typing words, but you can also do it through lifestyle imagery. So like, for example, I've identified that there are two types. So number one is relatable lifestyle imagery, and number two is aspirational lifestyle imagery. So look, I'll just give you an example. Let's say your target audience are personal trainers. Show yourself in the gym. That's like a relatable one. But let's just say that, you know, you discover that most of them are wanting to like make enough money so they can have not like a, you know, Ferrari, but maybe like a Mercedes, right? So, okay, then you can get, let's say you have a Mercedes, then you can take photos with the Mercedes. You can have that as the imagery. Like, people mess up a lot of times because they make it too aspirational. So if you're helping personal trainers make like $5,000 a month, but you're showing yourself driving around in a Ferrari or like a private jet or something, you know, it's not really it's too far away. Another example, let's just say that you are helping parents with something, then, you know, you can obviously blank out the face, but the relatable one would be showing like the kid's bedroom with like stuff everywhere, and like you sat on the floor, like, you know, playing with the kid, right? That's a relatable one. Aspirational, maybe it's like, you know, date night with your partner, you know, taking some time together with each other. Like, that's also an important thing for the kid. Okay, so you have to have the balance of the relatable and the aspirational. Otherwise, if it's always only aspirational, then people just think, well, this person's clearly an asshole, and I don't think that they have anything in common with me, so I don't trust them. Whereas if you're only relatable, then they just think, oh cool, this is my homie, like we can just, you know, have banter together in the DMs and they'll never pay you money. Okay, cool. Next one, market triggers. So there are certain triggers that each individual market appeals to specifically, and most people make the mistake of thinking that they know better than their market, which you do. That's why this one's a bit confusing. So let me really break this down. The people in your market, they need your help because they don't yet know a lot of the times why what they're doing isn't working. Okay, so let me explain. Back in the day, when I had an online fitness coaching business, I really hated this word tone up, right? Like I just didn't like this phrase because like my background, I'd lost a lot of weight. I had problems with eating, you know, it was a whole story. But I found that this toned concept was actually helping a lot of girls get a really bad relationship with food. So I didn't like the word, right? That's the reason why. But here's the thing. I was all about like the evidence-based, the science-based, right? I was quoting research papers, like I was taking guidance from these researchers all the time in like the content that I should create. And so I was essentially bringing really nerdy stuff into my content and people didn't get it. So then what I did is I surveyed my clients and I looked at my top 80 clients or so, maybe it was even a bit more than that. And they all, even though they were clients of mine, they had already paid me money, they still said that their main goal is to get toned. And so I'm there like, what the hell? How have my clients still got this goal? Like I never speak about this thing. I didn't get it. The vast majority of them said that. So basically what I did at that point is I thought, well, here's the really big problem because if I keep fighting against this word toned, people are seeing my content and they're like, well, screw this girl because she doesn't give me what I want.
Right.
Pardon my French. So then basically what I did is, look, for me, I have to be acting out of integrity. So I have to say it was a moral dilemma for me for 2 years. I remember vividly, like this whole year went by when I was at uni and I just couldn't make up my mind. Do I do this or not? And then a year later, only a year later, I realized all the people that I'm not helping through wording things in the way that they actually resonate with, it's too many people. So basically I made this program called Tone Up in 10. And guess what? It absolutely crushed. It sold hundreds in the first month. So my question to you would really be, what is the trigger in your market that as soon as you say it, people are going to pay attention to you? That's a question for you. Okay. The next one is intent. And this is particularly important if you want more qualified leads. So if your problem right now is maybe you get like some reach, you get some interest, but the leads are, maybe they're not financially qualified, or maybe they're from like locations in the world where they just physically don't have the money, or potentially they just aren't in enough pain to actually move forward with you. The intent trigger is extremely key for that those qualified leads, right? So let's just say right now, people are engaging with the freebies, they don't convert into clients. The reason why is because you're creating interest but not intent. Okay. Now, I love getting people to opt into a freebie and getting them to engage with my stuff. There's a time and a place for that. But if, again, you want right now qualified leads that become clients faster in that bottom of the funnel content, understanding the difference between the interest and the intent is so key. So the interest is where they've got curiosity regarding your content or the thing that you're talking about, right? So they consume it. Whereas intent is when they come to you with the goal of wanting to work with you. So the framing is different. You can say the same message, but one can create leads with interest and one can create leads with intent. The way to create more intent is to have a more specific call out. So when you directly speak to the pain point and the problem or the goal of that really creme de la creme lead, the prospect that wants to work with you now, the more specific you get, the more qualified leads you're going to get. But most people go for mass because it feels good. I'll give you an example. So yesterday I made this story. It was really cool, actually. It was better than I had expected. But I made this story, and in the first line, it said, I'm just gonna quickly pull it up. because it's gone now. It said coaching programs / agencies above 300 grand a year. That's very specific. Like, that's not a lot of businesses at all. That's a pretty high number. But I only wanted to have like this one specific type of client because I was going to take the calls with these people. Anyways, I went on to the end, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, look, pretty much like reply social media and let's chat to see if this offer to work together is a fit. So only people who replied to me on that, they want to work with us. I even said, a bot and setter is not going to reply to you. It's going to be me. So don't ghost me or I'll disqualify you. Because I only wanted super high intent based leads because I just wanted to take some sales calls, right? I really felt like it. So I could have said that exact same message, but I could have had the first line to be the exact same thing, but I could have created interest and not intent by saying, you know, coaching programs and agencies above 300 grand a year. I just found like a really cool way to get leads on Instagram. Message me leads and I'll send it to you. That's not creating intent to work with me. That's creating intent to get a free thing. There's a difference. So you have to know what style of content you're creating so that you can determine, do you want to create intent for a lead or intent for a client? Very big difference.
Yeah, so good.
Check this out. Diana was always focusing on she's really cool. She's like a love coach. Basically, she was always trying to get so many leads, but I wrote this one email for her. And look, she got 17 replies immediately to the first email just by creating intent. Her normal content was not getting replies at all, nothing. Oh, look, then she got 64. I forgot about that part, yeah. 64 replies from one email. 9, that was the next day. And the reason being is because of that intent trigger. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions? Gio, if you want, we can go to questions. And also, if anybody wants a social media audit, message me on Instagram saying audit my socials. For some reason, I don't think the screenshot of my Instagram appeared, but it's just Lauren Tickner.
When I send out the replay too, I'll give people
Okay.
instructions on how to do that.
Oh. No problem.
I have so many. How long can you go for another like 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. I might just get increasingly more and more hangry. That's all.
Well, first of all, you're in Europe, so it's 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. for you. I'm not sure what time zone you're in, but
Look, I'm a grandma, okay? It's 7 p.m. Please don't judge me, but I'm not a night owl. That's the problem.
yeah.
So-
You're like me. Yep. So if someone has a specific social media type question for Lauren, please type it into the chat and I'll call on you. So what happens? What is your process? Let's say someone can work with you. What happens next? How do you help them?
Yeah, so there's like 3 main areas that we work on specifically. The first one is, for some people, they know that it's a problem for them. For some people, they don't. So maybe I'll start with the second one. The second one is our main focus over the first 30 to 60 days is leaving our clients with a bank of social media content that whenever they post it, they know that it's going to get leads, like a lead tap.
Yeah.
So for some of our clients, depending on like how closely we work, we do it for them. And for some, they do it for themselves. We do it together. But the goal is like our clients are left understanding how they can always repeat this for themselves. So having that social media content that's already pre-segmented to the top, middle, and the bottom of the funnel, with the 17 psychological triggers already embedded into it. We do that over the first like 30 to 60 days, whether we do it for them or do it together. And then like the next thing is the first one, which I was going to say, was most people's offers are not social media sales friendly at all. Like, so it's no wonder that it's not going to drive clients, because the framing on social media needs to be so clear, direct, and easy to understand that, like, if anybody wants to share what their offer is, I could probably tell you right now why it's not converting. But we essentially rewrite the offer so that it is social media sales friendly, so that people on the internet that are not already in their network want to buy that thing.
Yeah.
And then the final piece is selling to those leads that have come in through social media. Because again, like a lead that you've met in person or that's a referral, etc., the sales process for them is very, very different. So we make sure that the leads are qualified so that our clients are only getting on calls with qualified leads. Like, because the worst thing is getting to the end of a 1-hour sales call and they tell you that they need to think about it or speak to their partner. So we have an entire, we call it our automated acquisition system, whereby we grab people off social media, get them booked onto the sales calendar, mainly automated. And that's done through either through pure automation or through essentially having a quick, like 15-minute call to disqualify using the perfect framework.
Yeah, I love, let me bring in a quick story. So Stephanie, my wife, and I have now fallen in love with pickleball.
Oh, it's fun, yeah.
It's so fun. So at our gym, there's pickleball courts, and we literally go 3-4 times a week. It's kind of, we're obsessed. So we do our weight training, and she's known for helping women in terms of health optimization.
Toning.
Big on, yeah, toning. She'll never use that word, but big on lifting heavy and that kind of, and that's what we do together when we mainly train. But now we're adding in cardio from pickleball, and I've played more racket sports than she has, so she's new to that world. And it's and the conversation we just had this morning was, we're going to take private lessons to learn the skill of racket sports, because it's usually a bunch of tweaks, but you need someone who's an expert who knows the frameworks to give you those tweaks, and then you go from 0 to 100 really quickly. But if we were to try on our own to figure these things out, like I'm self-taught, it took me 30 years to get where she's going to get to in 3 months, right? Because I'm self-taught at racket sports. And to me, that's what a lot of entrepreneurial skills are like, where we think, well, let me just try to figure things out on my own. But why, like you and I know, it's not about how anymore, it's about who, and connecting with the right who's. So anyone watching this who is already posting, that is already doing sales calls, that wants to get to where, the next level faster without trying to figure things out on your own, please reach out to Lauren. And if you want to be around people like us, just come to my events. It just solves all of the puzzles.
Facts. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to send them through, and I'm happy to answer if anyone has anything.
I love it. And thanks, Gio. Gio said reach out to you, and he's going to book a call. Yeah, and Gio lives near where I play pickleball, so we're going to go play together. Love it.
I want to play. That sounds fun. I like it.
It's so much fun. It's ridiculous.
It's a great workout, actually.
I used to think, oh, that's for like senior citizens. It's like the easy version of tennis, and it's actually not. It's crazy. It's so fun. Okay, so why don't we end here? And then if anyone has probably private questions, they can ask you when they're speaking to you guys. Thank you, Lauren, again, for your time and all your genius. This is so good. And thank you all for coming live. And if you're watching this replay, email me back and let me know what was your favorite takeaway from all of this. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. See you all September 21st in Toronto. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.